Sinn Féin I Ceachta.
Gurmaigad Liaskin Corlia. Tánaiste le baga go seachtain nuas tá deireadh trágaide agus cibhíthe take le policy de fuairtí héin agus policy an rialtas. Seán iad mórchuid na tithe an state cónaithe sa state a bheith ceannaithe ag ceiste in eisteachta idirnáisiúnta. Le bannacht an rialtas seo ní dhéalann siad céine bí an profit in dhéanann siad. Le bannacht an rialtas seo tá siad a glasal teaghlaí agus ibria a má as úineach tithe. At the weekend, an international investment fund, Round Hill Capital, bought up most of a newly built estate in Mullen Park in County Kildare. And after years of working and saving, first-time buyers had managed to save their deposit. But we're told last week that 135 of these family homes were no longer for sale and that they've been sold to an international investment fund. Now, yesterday, Tánaiste, it was reported that the same fund had bought an entire Dublin estate, Bay Meadows, of newly built family homes. And it will now rent these homes at a staggering €1,975 per month. And your government's response to this over the past few days would suggest that this is something new, that this is something that has fallen out of the sky. Well, let me tell you, Tánaiste, this has been happening for years, and well, you know it. It's happened in Dundrum. It's happened in Leopardstown, where a single fund bought 295 properties. It happened in Lucan last year, where Cairn Homes, one of the biggest developers in the state, sold 229 properties to a single investment fund. And it's happened in many other areas. And not only have you facilitated this, Tánaiste, and your party's policies, you have actually encouraged it, incentivised it, through the taxation structure that these funds enjoy. They pay no corporation tax, no capital gains tax when they sell the properties, and pay little stamp duty. They pay no tax on the rental income, sky-high rental income that they charge people in this city and beyond. Your party gave them the tax advantage. You designed it. Your party designed it with the support of Fianna Fáil. You've created this situation where these international investment funds are snapping up family homes and locking first-time buyers out of the market. And that is the reality. You have frustrated the hopes and dreams and aspirations of many workers and families who aspire to own their own homes. And I've been raising this issue of the tax advantage of these funds and the exemptions that they enjoy year after year. And as late as last year, I submitted amendments to the Finance Bill for the Government to examine how these tax breaks are impacting on first-time buyers and how they are pushing up house prices. But Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and the Green deputies all walked into that committee and voted against even looking at this issue. Every one of them opposed to looking at this area and voted to keep the status quo, voted to ensure that these funds enjoyed the tax exemptions that they have been able to utilise to lock and push first-time buyers out of the market. And now that the horse is bolted, Tánaiste, you're scrambling to contain the damage that you have caused. In their end-of-year results in February, Glen Bay, one of the biggest developers in the state, stated that their strategy is to sell 43% of properties to these types of funds. And this is growing and it is gathering pace. And reports this morning of the squabbles in your parliamentary parties between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, taking swipe at each other, finger-pointing and blaming each other, is simply not good enough. Tánaiste, you're both to blame, but you need to now grow up. You need to take responsibility for the actions that you've done, and you now need to undo the damage that you have caused. So, Tánaiste, will you, as Sinn Féin has argued for over the years, take away the tax breaks and advantages that you gave to these funds so that first-time buyers has a chance in the housing market? And what action will you take after the horse is bolted to end the block purchasing of family homes by these funds?
Thank you.
Gurmaigad Theachta, bechor geméich gachtain ábalta únaracht a bheige a cheach chonatha agus ní mór doing deis sin a hort tughine. Is muide an rialtas atá bhábhar únaracht tí a chonatha agus credum gur maithan rud é geméich únaracht ag duine bhéin féin agus cheach chonatha féin. Deputy, I'm somebody who believes in home ownership. I strongly believe in the concept of home ownership. And this is a government that believes in home ownership. We think it's a good thing that people should be able to own their own home, should be able to acquire private property, that they should have an asset that they can borrow against if they need to, extend if their family grows, and something that they can pass on to their children when they pass on. I'm not sure you believe that, given your party's policies, but we'll leave that to another day. And in Ireland at the moment, somewhere between 65% and 70% of people own their own home. And we in government want that to be a reality for people who are in their 20s and 30s now, so that they have the same opportunity to own their own home as their parents did. And that's why we've brought in things like the Help to Buy grant, giving people tax back to help them raise a deposit. It's why we've brought in the Rebuilding Ireland Home Loan to help people get a mortgage who couldn't get one from the banks. It's why we're investing in infrastructure to free up land for housing development, and it's why we've established a Land Development Authority. And what happened in Maynooth and what happened in Hollystown in my own constituency is not consistent with that policy, not consistent with a government policy that promotes supply and promotes home ownership. And we will act on it. And as I speak, Minister O'Brien and Minister Donoghue are developing proposals for a solution. It needs to be a solution that resolves this problem, but also needs to be a solution that doesn't have unintended consequences. And we all know that when we pass a law or adopt a policy, there's always the law of unintended consequences, that we may in good faith do something to solve a problem, but actually create another one. And that's why they need a little bit of time, and only a little bit of time, to come up with a workable solution. In relation to investment funds generally, I do think they have a role to play. There are housing developments in this city, mainly apartment blocks, mainly high-density developments, that would not have been built if they hadn't got finance from investment funds. They weren't able to get funds from the banks. And if they had not been built, we'd have fewer apartments, higher rents, higher prices, and perhaps even more people in homelessness. So we need to get the balance right. People do need places to rent, and they need well-managed developments, in particular, to rent from. And as things stand at the moment, less than 1% of the housing stock in Ireland is owned by investment funds, and that's much lower than would be the case in most other developed countries. But their correct role is to finance the construction of developments, not to swoop in and buy housing estates or developments that are already substantially complete. And that's what we need to change, and that's what the government intends to change with the actions it's going to take in the coming weeks. In relation to the tax position, I think what you said was misleading. You listed a whole bunch of taxes that these investment funds didn't pay, but you didn't talk about the ones that they do. And you tried to create the impression falsely that no tax is paid by investment funds. That is not the case. They pay tax on the dividend income, and that's how these investments are structured. And there have already been changes in the budget last year, changes in the finance bill adopted, and there may well be further changes required.
Doherty.
Taoiseach, you created the system, you supported the system, you cheerleaded the system, you rolled out the red carpet for these funds to come in, you turbocharged them, and now they're snapping up, and have been doing so for a number of years, properties from first-time buyers. You talk about taxes and dividend withholding tax. Pension funds don't pay them, Taoiseach. You know, you need to get really... We've been raising this issue year after year after year. Indeed, it's not just us. The Department of Finance last February actually argued for increase in taxes on these funds. An official at that time, we see from Freedom of Information. But the Minister voted against that when we put forward that type of proposal. In 2019, the Department of Finance carried out a report which said that these funds were buying big swathes of property, talked about locking people out of home ownership and out of the rental market. But Fine Gael did nothing but cheerlead these funds. So the question is, what are you going to do? Give us a little time, you said. For 6 years we've been raising the fact that you have been on the side of these funds over ordinary first-time buyers who are locked out of the market. So Maynooth isn't a flash in the pan. As I said, Dundrum, Leopardstown, Lucan, Lusk, many other areas right across this. For years this is happening. Last year, over 25% of all purchases were after construction. Hundreds of millions of euro, and your government cheerleaded. Indeed, Taoiseach, you stood in this chamber just 2 weeks ago and said that you would believe that it would be wrong to restrict these funds.
I didn't look at the clock, so you've benefited, Deputy. Taoiseach, to respond.
Thanks, Deputy. That's a further misrepresentation. I didn't say restrict. I said it would be wrong to ban them outright, and I explained the role that they do have to play and have had to play. And I was interested to hear Deputy O'Brien on prime time only the other night, for the first time ever, that I've heard him anyway, advocating for private investment and long-term investment by pension funds and housing. And it's interesting to see a Sinn Féin spokesperson make that argument, and I welcome the fact that he did make that argument. But let there be no doubt, this government is on the side of home ownership. We want people to be able to own their own home. We want people to be able to have a private property one they can live in, one they can raise their family in, one they can pass on to their children when they pass on themselves. That's not the policy of Sinn Féin or the policy of many of the left-wing parties in this chamber, though you try to pretend otherwise. And what happened in Maynooth and what's happened in Hollystown is not right. We don't want investment funds of any form coming in and buying up substantially complete developments that could have been bought by first-time buyers or upgraders or even approved housing bodies. But they do have a role to play in financing high-density developments that might otherwise not be built.
I'm moving on.